The Paris 2024 Game 2, Day 2, saw lots and lots of swimming action taking place. Of course, there were several finals, several semi-finals as well, and we saw some of the greatest times for some of these athletes. Some may argue that some of the times were actually slower than expected, with some surprises in the mix of things as well. But when those athletes dove into the pool at the La Défense Arena in Paris, it was game on, and their match faces were certainly switched on. This is We Paris Prime. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being with us. It is indeed my pleasure to be here and chatting with us as well. As usual, our very prominent guests joining us in studio. We have J. Hugh Gordon, General Atkinson, both two-time Olympians as well, and of course the lovable lunatic himself, Arnold Roberts. You've heard of him earlier today, especially with his swimming analytics, and you're going to hear more of it as the days go by. Lady and gentlemen, first off, J. Hugh, your thoughts on the Olympic Games so far, generally, not just specifically for swimming?
This is what we have all been looking forward to, the great performances, the spectacle that is being put on by Paris right now. I'm all in for the excitement. Let's see what Paris has to bring for the remainder of the show.
Indeed, Janelle?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of surprises, in my opinion. You know, Titmus, I knew that she was going to pull it off, but, you know, surprises on the men's side because a lot of the medalists and even strong contenders were knocked out of the finals. So it's very interesting to see how the men have really changed things up. The women are fairly consistent, but, you know, it's been very exciting to watch.
Arnold, yourself?
Well, definitely, and seeing France win the gold medal with one of the greatest swims in Olympic history by Marchand, which we will talk about. But hearing the crowd roar and just picturing the entire country in every cafe, every lineman spot, every house, just cheering for their great swimmer who's won the 400 IM. I think that was the highlight. Once a host country wins, it adds to the vibe, to the intensity of the Olympics.
It was really, really impressive to see the entire stadium singing the French national anthem. That was something the commentators say that they may very well hear more of as the days progress.
Well, definitely, because it's about building teamwork. So while swimming may be mostly an individual sport, I mean, Janelle and I were talking that last night the USA was up against it because Ledecky, their great hero, had been beaten. They weren't getting any medals. They didn't get a gold medal, but the 4x100 men's relay, the last event, they pulled it together, did a 309, took the gold. And we said that's going to set up the U.S. team to get cracking going down. If they didn't win that gold medal, we would have seen some depression setting into the camp. You know, it works like that.
Janelle, we saw some of the Caribbean athletes, the Caribbean swimmers as well, jumping into the pool and swimming with passion, swimming with pride as well, representing their various territorial teams. What was your emotions like seeing them jumping into the pool? Did it bring back some memories for yourself?
No, definitely. I think more of the memories came back yesterday in that 400 free. Seeing the times and seeing my times were fairly, at least somewhat competitive
Very
still
competitive.
after 24 years. So it was very cool to see that. And then, of course, seeing the 15-year-old this morning swimming that 100 breaststroke, I believe it was, you know, going out and representing, even though she was a little bit off her best time, but she was still very competitive and I think did a really great job.
Well, interesting points indeed for everyone, because the Caribbean, yes, we know for a fact that athletics dominates, you know, the javelin, the running and everything else in between. But we've seen now that swimming is coming up to the forefront, and our Caribbean athletes had a better time showing in the pool on day 2 in the men's 100-meter backstroke. Bermuda's Jack Harvey won his heat in 55.78 seconds, with Grenada's Zachary Grisham fourth in 58.92. The U.S. Virgin Islands, Maximilian Wilson won his heat in 54.49 seconds. You know, these athletes, I think, Anil, you would probably have a little more analytical eye. How did they perform?
All right, well, Maximilian Wilson of the USVI, he did fantastic. That was his best time. I think that is a Caribbean Open record, the fastest backstroker in the history of the Caribbean. I know a little bit about that because at one point in time in 2003, George Bovell III was the fastest man going to the Pan American Games in the Dominican Republic, winning 2 golds and 2 silvers. one of them being in that 100-meter backstroke in a time of 55.78. So for this young man to go 54.49, that's a remarkable swim. I'm proud of him, and that he's just about 0.5, half a second away from being top 16. So that's Olympic caliber swimming. The other athletes, unfortunately, not one of them did their personal best. They were some way off. Our young girl from Antigua, Ellie Shaw, her best time is 1:12.9. She went a 1:14, so I'm not very happy about that. Also, Jack Harvey was a 55.19, which would have been the Caribbean record. He may have beaten Dylan Carter. Dylan Carter may have gone 54 high for the 100 backstroke, but his best time was 55.1. He went 55.9. Zachary Gresham, also of Grenada, at a slower pace, still went slower. He went 58.80 is his best time, and he went 58.90. So I'm not happy with that. I will suggest, and Janelle will have to defend, that those three athletes, I believe, they went to the opening ceremony.
Well,
and therefore, they swam slow.
We're going to get Janelle's points. We're going to get Janelle's points after this interview. After this race, we did manage to catch up with Jack Harvey from Bermuda. Let's hear what he had to say.
Jack, 5.78 seconds in winning your heat. Talk to me about the race.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't my best time, but it's the Olympics, here for the experience. So it's an awesome pool, great atmosphere. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, looking to go under 55 seconds possibly was in your mind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean my PB is 55.1, so I was right on that cusp, but maybe not today.
What do you take away from this experience?
I mean, it's everything. The Olympics is the pinnacle of sports, so just looking towards the next one and can't wait.
Yeah, well, really, really interesting points indeed. Very happy that we could have gotten his reactions, and we thank our team there in Paris for doing justice indeed to that interview. Janelle, you were offered some points there from one Anna Roberts.
Points or some shots?
Well, can you defend those shots?
I can certainly defend those shots.
The opening ceremony.
At the end of the day, right, all three of these men went right around their best times, except for Max, who went actually faster. You know, so it's one of those where sometimes being in that environment, it's all their first Olympics, so being around the excitement and everything else really helps build up. And they had a full day to recover from the opening ceremonies to be able to compete at that level.
That is a lovely argument, which makes absolutely no sense. Because you go there first and foremost to perform. Yes, they're not medal contenders, but you want to go to the Olympics after all that hard work and do a best time. You're in the fastest pool in the world. You want to feel good. You want to be there for next time. An opening ceremony in the full rain, 8 hours, you can't recover in one day. Janelle knows that very well as your taper.
I can.
And it shows, and I'm certain, and I want you all to test this for me, people, that Maximilian Wilson did not go to the opening ceremony, and the other three swimmers did. I put that out there. I would like to get some investigation done to check it.
Jay, you're going to back up Janelle in this?
No. She said the last time I threw her under the bus, so I'll actually support her argument this time. Yeah, Janelle?
Wow.
All right. So basically, I hear Anil's argument, but what I'd like to say is there are many other factors that will determine an athlete's performance. So even though they went to the Olympic ceremony, they at the pinnacle, as he mentioned. This is the pinnacle here. So a coach could only carry you so far. Once you line up and you hear that gun whistle, whichever it might be, then the whole scenario now changes. A coach could only prepare you physically, but from the mental aspect, that whole ball game could drop there within that short 55 to 1 minute.
That is a brilliant point, and that also, using Jay Hughes' brilliance, shows that you need to stay. You're physiologically prepared, you're rested, you have to stay mentally focused. Taking time to enjoy the fireworks, and this takes your mind off. Now, that may work for one or two athletes, but I can tell you, those who have won gold, those who are breaking world records, they were not in any opening ceremony tiring out their bodies. They were relaxed, they were focused, they were in their rooms, feet up, getting ready. What I'm saying, while the point that I would take from Janelle is, this is some of their first Olympics, okay. I'm taking that. You went to the opening ceremony. You will focus more on the experience, being there and so on. Next 4 years, I don't want to see no ceremony. You want to be rested. We have to do best times. We have to get up into the rankings, just like what Maximilian Wilson did, I was very impressed with him.
I have a question for you. Did Eric the Eel enter the opening ceremony? Please don't answer that.
Well, Eric the Eel could go opening ceremony, closing ceremony, middle ceremony, any ceremony, Eric the Eel could go because he didn't go there for nothing except a drum.
Janelle, what was your mentality like going into these games back in 2000, 2004, knowing that you are going to be facing up some of the best in the world, the title contenders, the favorites, and you probably went in as an underdog?
No, definitely. I definitely went in as a nobody. I remember at my training camp in Melbourne, in the newspaper, they had a whole list of, who to watch for, the medal contenders and, the people who may sneak in. And my name was nowhere on that list. And for me, that actually fueled a lot of fire to actually be better and, concentrate on the finer things. Even then at the ready room for the 400 free, I was in there sweating bullets. And Brooke Bennett, actually from Team USA, who I had swum against multiple times because we both trained in Florida, in the spirit of the Olympics, came over to me and actually was the one who helped calm me down. She was like, Janelle, we've done this so many times before. It's just another meet, just another race. Luckily, we're in the same heat together, so let's just go out there and do what we need to do. And that actually really helped prepare me for the finals.
Jahi, I want to direct this next question to you as we switch the discussion now to the young 15-year-old Ellie Shaw from Antigua and Barbuda. You're still coaching at the University of the West Indies, the St. Augustine campus, working with some of these younger people as well, seeing this 15-year-old at the Olympic Games representing her country. Yes, she may not have done well and may not have gotten the times that Anil probably would have loved, but just 15 years old, representing her country, what does that mean for her?
It is a huge feat, to be honest. I remember when I was just 17 years of age, and I made it to my first World Senior Championship final. I had no idea what I'd done at that point. In her instance, obviously, she would have had some form of exposure by her coach explaining certain things to her. So to be in an Olympic Games at 15, it will definitely aid with her experience. Hopefully, she makes it to the next one, LA 2028.
Well, and what you have to say there, Sachin, in swimming, especially with females, females develop and mature quicker than the boys. So a girl at 14 or 15 could have the anaerobic capacity to win. Christine Egazegi in 1988 in Seoul won the 200 backstroke at 14 years old.
Yeah, interesting points indeed. These young people, they have the exuberance of youth. Of course, probably looking at her, as Jahi said, for possibly being much better, maybe in the top 10, top 15 in LA 28. Janelle, do you think she has a very bright future for swimming, representing the Caribbean?
No, absolutely. And to, Anil's point yesterday, where it's so important to go to these CISC, CC cans, and all these developmental meets because you're being exposed to these bigger countries, and you realize that the world is so much larger than just the Caribbean. You could be the Caribbean's greatest, but at the end of the day, when it comes to Olympics, when it comes to Commonwealth Games, even Pan Am Games, you're up against so many more people, and you're exposed to different types of people, different racing strategies, and you'd be able to learn so much from the way that other people attack their races.
Yeah, well, we had those heats from the Caribbean athletes, the Caribbean swimmers. We also had the finals of several different disciplines at the La Défense Arena in France. It was really impressive to see some of these races. I know Janelle said that she had some surprises in there as well. But for the men's 400-meter individual medley, the final from France, Leon Marchand getting in 4:2:95, an Olympic record. At one point, he was swimming ahead of the world record, but then he tapered off coming down to the last 25 meters or so, but still managed an Olympic record. Japan taking that second spot, Matsushita in 4:8:62, and the USA getting third, the bronze, in Carson Foster, 4:8:66. Your thoughts, Anil?
Well, that was a coronation. Before I was talking to Chris before the finals began, and I said basically, Marchand, because of his skill, his talent, his coaching, he's coached by Bowman, who was Michael Phelps' coach, and he's doing sets in the pool that obliterated Michael Phelps at his best. This young man has everything, skill, ability, and with the pressure of his country hosting the games, he was ready. And I said the Eiffel Tower would have to fall on his back for him to lose, and people saw it. He won the event by nearly a full 6 seconds. Yeah. He was ahead of world record pace until 25 meters to go, which he could have broken if it wasn't at home, because he went out a little faster in the butterfly. You remember the 400 individual medley as you see it there. 2 lengths of butterfly, 2 lengths of backstroke, 2 lengths of breaststroke, and 2 lengths of freestyle. Probably the most painful event in the pool. And this man has skill in every single facet. And what is so abnormal about this, the breaststroke, as I told you all yesterday, is an original stroke. You have to be born with a certain type of flexibility in your hips, knees, and ankles. Breaststrokers, when they walk with their feet pointed outwards. And this doesn't augur well for freestyle kicking or butterfly kicking or backstroke kicking. But it shows that when he was born, he has total flexibility in his ankles, knees, and hips, which bring about a skill in all the strokes. This was a gold medal. The crowd across France could have, from the first stroke, he had the gold medal. He opened it up, and it was a brilliant swim. Olympic record. Could have been a world record had it not been his first race, and if he went out a little bit too hard in the butterfly, so he paid on the back end of the freestyle. But an amazing swim, and France can celebrate. Mbappe and all should be clapping.
Janelle, any surprises there for you from that top 3?
No, you know, honestly, actually, let me take that back. I think Chase Calise getting out in the prelims, I think really set Marchand up to be completely obliterating, because Chase Calise is the Olympic champion from 2021. So for him to not make the final, that would have been his toughest, Leon's toughest, I guess, kind of like competitor. And for him to not be in there was almost like a huge weight probably lifted off of Leon's shoulder. However, Leon has been unstoppable during the NC2A season, during everything leading up to these games. So even then, with him being out, almost kind of like was an icing on the cake, because he knew he was going to have that type of lead throughout the entire race.
All right, so we also had the
As
women's...
you see, that video, you all cut the video, but you could see that man is that much in front of the second best in the world. Understand what greatness you're seeing there. Look at that lead. It's not that he's in a race with some other fellas who are not really good. Those are the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth best in the world. And look at Marchand. That is greatness personified.
Indeed, when he kicked the wall, he was totally leaps and bounds ahead of the entire pack. They were still trying to trail behind him, and he certainly had a big leap indeed. Jay Hugh, you won several races already, and by leaps and bounds as well. What is this feeling like, looking back and left or right and you're not seeing anyone?
I'm sure he went in there with some measure of confidence, knowing the category he is in. I would say he is an outlier. To be that far ahead of the field, he needs to be in another universe race.
That's true.
Well, coming out of the men's 400-meter individual medley, we had the women's 100-meter butterfly final, where USA got the 1-2, they got the double. Tori Husk getting it in 55.59. USA second, Gretchen Walsh, 55.63, leading at the 50-meter mark. That was the most important factor there for me, talking about that. And then China's Zhang Yufei in 56.21. You know, for the entirety of the race, from the moment they leapt off the board, Walsh was ahead of everyone else.
Yes, well, Chris and I were here. We did I wish we had it recorded, but before the final started, we sat down, and I was explaining to Chris, because he said Gretchen Walsh is the favorite, and she is and has been. She has had a great season. She has obliterating speed, and I told him she will be in front at the turn coming down, but it will all come down to the last 3 strokes under the flags, because I saw in the semi-final that she was tightening up, and if that piano dropped on her back at that time, Tori Husk, who is a great racer, who has the kick and the speed and the stroke rate to finish strong, could take her and steal the gold medal. And so said, if they keep this video running, you see Walsh out there. She's out in front, but she didn't get enough. She needed Tori Husk to be more down by her thighs or her knees. And here we come, and the red lane rope is the last 5 meters. And here Walsh is tightening up, and Husk hit the turn, hit the touch with perfection. She hit it flush on a stroke. That takes you back to the 2008 100-meter butterfly between Michael Phelps and Cavic, where some people believe that there was some sort of conspiracy because Cavic had reached the wall, but Michael Phelps was coming with so much speed. He touched the wall first and took the gold medal to win 8 gold medals. That's what Husk did there, and that's why coaches always tell you, Finish to the wall strong. Don't play.
Give Arnold Roberts the gold medal. I think he did that extremely well. He should be the Olympic gold medalist for analysis. I don't think we have much more to talk about there, Janelle. But the men's 100-meter breaststroke final, that just completed before we came on air. Italy getting in the first spot. Was that a surprise for you?
You know what? Yes and no, because I feel like PT has been so dominant in breaststroke, especially in 2021, that he had a lot of almost like weight on his back to be able to defend his title. And I feel like for him, he didn't look as impressive as he normally does going out. And I felt like the same with Walsh, where he's a racer, but not as much of a racer as Tory Huskers. He can't finish as strong. He's like a Ledecky that needs to be out and stays out. If he has someone close by, it's not necessarily up to him. It's more up to everybody else how they finish. So for me, I was actually pretty happy to see Italy come victorious, but it was also heartbreaking because I'm a big fan of Adam Peaty.
Yeah, Peaty from Great Britain, Martineggi from Italy, and of course Fink from USA.
Yeah.
That breaststroke race, that 100-meter breaststroke race, brings them out for coaches across the globe questions.
Yep.
Because that 59 is it's pedestrian, it's slow compared to where the stroke had been taken. Now, you must understand that the power and the energy needed to generate speed in breaststroke is tremendous. The breaststroke athletes over the last 8 years have been putting on pounds of muscle. They're averaging 220 pounds of pure muscle with a body fat percentage of about 3%. For them to slow down, PT1, Olympic record 57.1, world record 56. For a gold medal to be won 3 and 4 seconds slower than those times, I have a lot of questions asking. I'm happy that it has slowed down because it means that something may be happening that is providing us with fairer sport, and I like that. So my mind is just wondering, how did this breaststroke, as men only, slow down so much?
Interesting points indeed. Well, we're going to get a towel and dry ourselves up from diving in depth into that pool discussion. And when we come back, we have more with us. Stay with us. Two all-time tennis greats, Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic, is set for a gigantic showdown in second round action in men's singles at the Paris Olympic Games. Nadal defeated Hungarian Martin Fucsovics 6-1, 4-6, 6-4 today to set up a second round clash with Djokovic, who got by Matthew Ebden on Saturday. Chris and Anil is with us to discuss these points, and it was certainly a remarkable sight to see at the Roland Garros as well. Nadal, known for his greatness, Djokovic as well, known for greatness. And let's give a little preview as well before we jump into this discussion. What could come in a few days' time? Djokovic versus Nadal. This may very well, gentlemen, be the last time we see these two greats battle head-to-head, Chris.
At the Olympic Games, for sure. I don't think generally.
37, 38, I mean, they still have some gas in the tank.
Yeah, we might see them do battle again. But, very unusual to see them in the second round of a tournament. Usually we used to see them in the final. But both players have had good experiences in France. Djokovic has 3 Grand Slam titles at the French Open. Nadal has 14. So, very familiar to the red clay. It was a tough match for Rafael Nadal today. I mean, started out very well. The first set, very convincing. But then Fucsovics came back well in the second set and really made a match out of it. But mouth-watering to see these two. We're talking about 46 Grand Slam titles between these two guys. I mean, arguably two of the best the world has ever seen in tennis. So immense to have them at this stage, immense for the Olympics as well, for the people of Paris, to have these two guys competing. Nadal not quite at his best, has struggled with injuries and so on. Of course, you know, Djokovic recently coming off the Wimbledon final, where he got a whipping from Carlos Alcaraz.
The youngster.
Yeah. So, you know, and Alcaraz is at the tournament as well to play doubles with Nadal, and that's beautiful. The hero of yesteryear and the upcoming lion. I mean, excellent to see them team up, and many would probably have them as the favorites to win gold in the doubles. But yeah, both these players have got it done at this stage before. Nadal won the singles title in 2008 in Beijing, won the doubles title in 2016 in Rio. Djokovic hasn't had a singles gold medal yet, so this is probably his last opportunity. Did win bronze in that 2008, and I think came fourth in doubles last Olympics. So he has something to prove on that stage, and I think he goes in as a favorite based on Nadal's physicality right now and where he is at in terms of his game.
But Arnold, do you think that Nadal will be playing at home with 14 French Open wins, and with the most recent one being in 2022, most possibly may move in as favorites in terms of home crowd support?
Well, and also this is the only sport that now the host country, the courts that have chosen, changes who could be the favorite, because playing tennis on clay is totally different from playing on a fast hard court or grass. It just came out of the grass, it come back to the clay. The clay, the ball is slower, it moves slower, yeah. So the big servers have less of an advantage. You have to be great movement. You have to be very flexible, because when you stop, you have to slide. And that may be a difficulty for Djokovic, coming 5 weeks after surgery to shave down the cartilage on his knee. He got through to the final in the Wimbledon. He was not that disappointed to have lost to Alcaraz, which showed me that he knew that he wasn't 100%, that the knee was not totally healed. But this surface is going to challenge his knee quite a lot more because of the sliding. As you see the highlights there, look at them when they hit. Did you see how the player in red, is that Djokovic, how he had to slide after he hit it? Nadal is the greatest of all time on clay, but his time, this is just a coronation. I don't think he has any chance to beat Djokovic, even though Nadal is the greatest clay court player that we have seen or will ever see. However, he's been battered all over his body because these clay court matches go on for longer. The average time is 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
No, I was going to say to you that Novak Djokovic, when you mentioned flexibility, very few players on the circuit can say they're as flexible as Novak Djokovic. I mean, some of the things he does with his body to contort it, to maneuver it, splits on the court. So he is one of those very flexible. I take it, obviously, he's 37 years of age now, and he has had a few injuries. But don't underestimate his ability to still utilize or show that level of flexibility. And even in Wimbledon, with an aging body, as we would say, he still showed that he had that and so on. And as I said, he fools the crowd many a time by putting on these faces in matches and looks like he's going to retire at any moment. But that is just Novak Djokovic for you. And he's a lion in terms of a competitor. Both are, actually. Correct. Both. That's the temperament of both these players. But I just think physically, Nadal, because he has had more crippling injuries, obviously, than Djokovic. He's just not where he would want to be at this point. So I agree with Anil in that it's more of a coronation for him, but you never know. 14 titles on clay, he may just provide a huge match.
Some excitement. Yeah. But Djokovic, I believe, will get through, but that won't impact the gold medal. I think the gold medal has to be somewhere around Alcaraz, Sinner, some of these younger players.
But Sinner is out.
Sinner is out. He didn't come in. He's got knocked out, or he's...
No,
he chose not because he's injured. Yeah. But some of these younger players, well, that means that Alcaraz is on his way. And Zverev is there, but Zverev has to understand the mentality of the game. He crumbles at times with a bad call, or if he loses a set. Alcaraz is similar to a young Federer. He's kind of unflappable.
His mental strength is immense.
Unbelievable. And that boy, I mean, is something else. If he keeps going at that trajectory, and he's on a high. Yeah, so I think the man to beat is Alcaraz. I see Djokovic getting past Nadal, maybe getting to the final. I didn't see the brackets. If they could match up, he will meet Alcaraz. But unfortunately, I don't think Djokovic right now has enough to beat that young Spanish lion.
And what I would say about the Olympics over time has showed that it has produced many surprising results. Obviously, tennis is not unique for that, but I've seen it in tennis quite a bit. And then, as you know, the clay, just over history, if you look, where players have had surprise wins, surprise results, it's usually been on clay because of the nature, as you said, it's a slower surface. So, Spaniards, etc., Europeans tend to find their best game.
Argentina.
Right, on clay. So you have had players over time that have produced results that you didn't see coming on clay more than any other surface to me. And the Olympics also has provided a nice twist to the tail on occasion. So you never know. As I said, these big players could be the ones that everybody's looking at, and then there's just a surprise.
Just creeping in there.
Just creeping.
But you see, what's good too is that tennis, part of the reason why the results have been varied, it's only now in the last 6 years or 8 years that tennis Olympic gold medal has taken its place of priority around professional players.
Yes.
Before, first of all, professional players never played. Then when they allowed them to come in, some went in, some didn't bother because they were more focused on the Grand Slams and the professional tournaments to win. Now it's on the calendar and everybody wants the Olympic medal. So I think from here on in, we could see the Olympic medal in tennis being one that is
that's
very
a big point. Because even if you think back to when Andre Agassi, I think, was one of the first big-name players to really win, and at that time, you say a lot of persons didn't enter, and that was what, in the early to mid-90s. And it took a while, so I agree with you, Anil, whereas now the need to show to wear those national colours or to represent, whether it's the Davis Cup that has helped that even more, because even the Davis Cup, there are a lot of players that didn't represent their countries and so on. But I think it's an important part of your career, and it's good to see that tennis players are taking that aspect a little bit more seriously. It sends a message that it's not just about the money and the big trophies.
Both these big name players, 37 years old, 38 years old respectively. Do you think, just like similar to, I would say, Jimmy Anderson a few weeks ago, finishing his game on a high, do you think if any one of these players get to the final and go on to win the gold medal, we can probably see them retire on an additional high?
Interesting point. Never thought of that. I think Novak Djokovic, if he was doing the gold medal here, he could very well say thank you very much. But again, he just got to a final of Wimbledon. So what says that he's not at his highest level anymore? Because he's just got to the final of Wimbledon. He's won Grand Slams in the last couple of years. So Rafael Nadal, on the other hand, because of his injuries and so on, I could see him calling time. And I think this event, I don't think he's going in necessarily expecting to win, but I think this event would be a good way to maybe say thank you and so on. But yeah, good point. Both of them are getting to that kind of age.
Yes, for Djokovic.
And he has never won it, eh?
He has never won it, but Djokovic not going anywhere. Djokovic just made Wimbledon final. Djokovic is what you call a hungry winner.
Would you say he's in his second prime, maybe?
He could be in his fifth prime because 23 Grand Slams, looking for 24.
No, 24, looking 25.
24, looking for 25.
Yeah.
Well, and then about 85 tournament victories and playing at a high level. Djokovic not going anywhere for the next 2 years unless he gets very badly injured. Nadal, on the other hand, this is his swan song. If he happens to win, he definitely will retire in France on the clay with a gold medal. But I don't think
that would be a beautiful story for Nadal.
That's a beautiful fairy tale because he can't win. Right? I mean, let's be real.
But this would be a perfect scenario for Rafael Nadal.
But you said the clay courts can offer some balance, some even off the playing field, etc.
You can't balance when your body.
But it's not one match he has to win, eh?
When your body has been battered like that, with young Turks hungry, while I love him, he was brilliant, it's too much to expect. So while it sounds like a beautiful fairy tale of him winning that gold medal on the clay that he has shown us over the years, all the brilliance, it's a near impossibility.
Another thing in his favor, this is not a Grand Slam, so it's not a best-of-5 scenario. It's a best-of-3 encounter, so the matches will be shorter and spicier. I think that works in Nadal's favor.
Correct.
In terms of that. But I still agree that you still have 4 or 5 matches to win to accomplish that.
Take a toll on him, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but the fact that, let me tell you, by reducing it to a best-of-3 instead of best-of-5, you could be cutting 2-3 hours off of a match, especially if it's a close one.
Correct.
If he's winning sets like 6-1, like today, and so on, then fine. It will be shorter, spunkier matches. And as I said, looking at the clay, it's not the fastest I've seen it, but it's not the slowest as well, which means that you will still be able to win quite a few points off the serve, or your shot will penetrate the court a lot more, which works for a shorter game, which suits both the older guys as well.
Yeah. he will be teaming up in the doubles with Alcaraz as
They
well.
could win that.
They have won one match already, I think, or I don't
Yes.
think they've played their second match yet.
That one,
I think that's going to be brilliant because it's exuberance of
correct.
youth, it's punchy, it's quick fire, adrenaline rushing, and of course the balancing act with the experience of the veteran.
correct. And in doubles now, he has less work to do. And he could leave Alcaraz to cover the baseline, take more of the running, sliding, and so on. He could use his tremendous volleying ability up at the net and so on. So the team, I think Spain, with that old and young lion mix, they're the favorites for that doubles gold medal.
Would be a nice win. The only concern I have for them is I can't say that they would have wonderful chemistry playing doubles together, just for the fact that they haven't played a lot of doubles together generally. Alcaraz himself doesn't play a lot of doubles. And a lot of times doubles is not about, when you look at persons who dominate doubles or some of the persons who have won the most titles, maybe outside of the Williams sisters, some of them are very mediocre, average singles players. So it's a different dynamic. It's a different skill. A lot of persons are saying, oh, I'm a great singles player, so it will automatically go into doubles. No. So that's my only concern with them as to whether that chemistry will come together at the right time when they do buck a good doubles team.
Correct.
But yeah, it would be a lovely story for them.
Well, it's going to be the El Clasico. It's Djokovic versus Nadal. Let's see who will prevail in that game. We're going to take a short break and come back with more on We Paddy Prime. Stay with us.
De chaque nation nous venons pour rivaliser avec passion et courage, nos cœurs sont élevés. In the arena, we give our all.
Well, 3 coaches from Canada's women's soccer program has been banned by FIFA, and the team deducted 6 points in the Paris 2024 Women's Olympic football. This after assistant coach Joseph Lombardi, who was not accredited, was caught by French police using a drone, yes, a drone, to spy on the New Zealand football team ahead of their Group A encounter. Now, Canada went on to beat New Zealand 2-1 in that one, points that they will now lose, unfortunately. And, it's really a bit of a harsh reality for the players, but it's a first for me seeing an assistant coach who's not accredited at all using a drone to spy. Yes, we spoke heavily about the technology used in the opening ceremony and so on, Chris, but now we're seeing technology used to the demise of a team.
Yeah, I heard you use the word, the adjective harsh, and I don't think it's harsh at all. In fact, no place for cheating in the Olympics or anywhere for that matter. It's very disappointing from a Canadian perspective. And whether it's the assistant coach, the gear manager, the kit manager, I don't care who, it's a part of the team. It would have been a team decision. So, yeah, one has to suffer for all, and it's unfortunate for the players, you may say, because they might not have authorized something like that, but it's really a low blow, I think, from the Canadians, and something that shouldn't be tolerated. And I think what is happening here is that the Paris Olympics want to send a strong message. They should send a strong message with many different things, but yes, I will take it here that, this was poor from the Canadians. And you're talking about a team that up to recently was ranked 5. I think they have dropped now to 8, but it's a top team in the world in terms of female football. And to see them, I don't even know why they would need to do something like that against a New Zealand team, which, as I said, they're above in terms of the rankings. But whether or not, it's just not something you do. And I am glad that the Olympic Committee, that the Paris Olympics have done something strong about it.
Yeah, I said harsh for the players, not for the coaches. The coaches are banned for some time as well. But and I will stand by what I say for the players, because I mean, some of the players may not have knowledge that was actually happening. The coaches were looking for an advantage, maybe a technicality that they could improve on somewhere. But I really can't see why was this necessary. Why was it made so difficult to get the players to this point now, where you're going to play a game, you defeated an opposition, but now you have to suffer from points deducted. So it's like, yeah, let's just go back home.
And this is technology working in the wrong way.
Let's just go back home.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, to my partner in Trinidad and Tobago who said that I'm wearing pajamas on the People TV. I disagree. I like my shirt, red, white, black, and white.
It's a lovely shirt, man.
You all in the comments, let us know if it's pajamas or if the shirt and them looking good. I find me looking good. But anyway, I am a bit baffled because I hear words like cheating and so on. As far as I know, scouting or gathering information on your opponent is something that we normally do without drone. But a coach will go and sit down and watch a practice. Yes, sometimes they try to say it's close practice, but I get the impression that that was par for the course, that you try to figure out what your opponent is going to do to counteract it, because really and truly, even when you know, you still have to impact it and on the game. Plus, soccer is a game. I mean, we know about the Brady Gate, the New England Patriots, and we hear about Michigan in American football, how they were scouting signals for plays, because in American football, a play is a very specific thing. The quarterback draws back, either in the shotgun, takes a number of steps, the routes they run, where they run a slant, go long, and so on. And they try to mako, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, what play, what signal interacts with what play and so on. And they said that was Spygate and Cheating Gate and so on. I didn't know that it was a major deal or it was considered cheating in football. But if it is, and they say that if it is cheating, then the penalty is deserved and you should be out. 6 points means you're out, because that means you lost 2 games, basically. And in the group stage, you're out.
Yeah, but Anil, I think with this, though, if you are, and many a time coaches, for example, go to matches and so on, sit in a stadium, you watch a game, you scout and so on. That's fine. That's an official game. You're having a match, even if it is a friendly.
But you might practice too sometimes.
No, but even the data analytics, the videos that they look at, they scribe down what the players are doing, how you can clamp them down, etc. So that's okay.
Yeah, but if you're going to a training session and something that's official, many training sessions are behind closed doors for obvious reasons, right? So obviously, if you're going to a training session, so you may ask permission or whatever, there's something. But the way that the Canadians went about it was sneaky. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, sneaky, I could agree.
To use a drone as an unauthorized device.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's invasive.
It's spying.
It's invasive.
That is spying and sneaky and so on. But it's shocking to me, because my point is, when you reach cheating, you have to get an unfair advantage that could make you win and so on. The most you could get is how they signaled where they're going to play the ball for a corner. So if I put my hand up, you know that we're going to hit the corner, and the strikers are going to alternate their runs. One going to go far post. You could put a shot in or a free kick.
You know that they might not.
Dead ball
no,
situation.
But in a drone situation, you don't know if there's audio as well. They could have attached something. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're in your coaching area or whatever, which you think is a private environment, a relaxed environment, whatever, and somebody's coming in to even hear your tactics, whether it's video, whether it's audio, because you don't know. The fact of the matter is, as I said, it sends a wrong message.
Okay.
That sends a wrong message.
I take it. I don't see, as you said in the original comment, I don't know what the Canadians were hoping to benefit. I don't see it in football. Football is such artistry. It's not scripted like American football. That you have to be able to know what you want to do, adapt to changing situations, and
it's
so on.
a very dynamic
so
game.
why you would take your time to go and get a drone, put battery in it, and get and fly it, and to do what? You're not going. I mean,
but that is a stupidity, which is
really
why.
dotish.
And obviously, the Olympic Committee.
I agree. They should get 6 points deducted for stupidity.
The Olympic Committee doesn't care. They could care less what they heard or saw. The fact that the Canadians would go about something in that way, it's the intent of the situation.
Yes, and I take that point then. It goes against the Olympic spirit.
Olympism. We spoke about that right through.
Correct. So I got, take the 6 points off.
Now, another point, gentlemen.
You convinced me.
Canada, they were the defending champions. They are the defending champions.
Well, that makes it worse. What do you need that for?
Exactly. And
they say that it's easier to win than to stay there, right?
It really is bewildering why they would go to that extent.
That's a brilliant word. It's bewildering. Yeah. It's ridiculous. You embarrass your country.
Canada is not known for this type of things before.
Well, this is my point.
Yeah. Not that we know of.
Not that we know of, exactly.
But you don't take a risk.
I've had a camera behind some bushes before.
I mean, with the New England Patriots, with Michigan and so on, it's university. Yes, there's passion. passion for university and professional team. But this is your country. This is your nation. And why would you do that? That I ask questions like that.
It's like an ambush, like you say, ambush marketing.
Yeah, like
that's
Warner,
the kind of thing that...
Remember when against Pakistan, Warner and them, they took a guitar pick, put it in their pocket to go and scratch up a ball. But you're a brilliant cricketer. You have skill, you have ability, you're amongst the best team in the world. Why would you do that?
And let us not forget how the Australian board used them as an example. Steve Smith and David Warner. And many persons came back and said, harsh, but it sent a strong message that this is not something we're going to tolerate. You have embarrassed our country. We are the #1 team around, and that is why we don't do these things.
Correct.
And the mood of the players at that time, and I'm wondering if this might have been the mood of Coach Priestman and company at first, was that, let's get over it, okay, so we've done it, so what? And the Olympic Committee said, no. Just like the Australian board, we are going to set an example out of you. And bravo for them. It's not, it just doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth. As you said, it might not have changed the complexion of the game. Canada won the game in anyhow, 2-1 or whatever the case may be, but it's just how you went about it. And as I said, if you are supporting Olympism, as we spoke about from the opening ceremony and these things, certain things just mustn't enter into the conversation.
Do you think now the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, is now sending a very strong message to anyone who probably has thoughts of doing something like this or something out of the ordinary to get information from an opposition team?
Well, not, if they want to send,
suitcases for drones now.
If they want to send a strong message, the Olympic Committee, WADA, USADA, all the anti-doping agencies should get together and understand that in competition testing is a waste of money and resources, and put all the money and all the testing in out-of-competition testing for the top 24 in the world, 6 weeks out from a major competition. That way we will have clean sport. I was happy to watch the 100 breaststroke. It looked very clean.
Well, it was in the pool, so certainly lots of things would have washed out. Now, would you class the drone incident now, could it be classed now? Because this is something totally new to everyone. Do you think, well, at least for us, do you think it can be classed now with doping?
I think it's doping. I think they were dotish. But it can't be, because doping, you
There's
get
something internal within the body.
Yes,
totally
but doping, you get an advantage. You know that if you dope in swimming, for example, or track and field, if you work hard and you take growth hormone or steroids and you recover faster and can work harder, lift more weights, generate more power, you will win. So that is franco-men cheating. You will get a benefit. A drone flying up to see people trying to do the strategy.
Can aid, but not guarantee.
But not guarantee.
But drugs for sure will guarantee an improved performance, where you might not win, but you will.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely. And to say Anil's point, this is something that, as you said, the last Olympics, if you remember, I mean, we saw it in the Winter Olympics as well, this situation of doping. So obviously something needs to happen to phase that out, and hopefully, they will find the best way. But it's unfortunate that these things keep coming out. So maybe, as he said, maybe the approach needs to be out of tournament testing and so on, just to get everything clean going in and so on.
Correct.
So some additional points, gentlemen. The police investigation have found that this was actually happening for a while ago. They actually had 2 instances where the drones flew over training sessions. Not 1, but 2. So this again...
from Canada alone or from other people?
From Canada.
Well, I want to figure out it with other coaches, because I take your point, Sachin. If I'm a player, I go into train, I do my shuttles, I cool down, drink my Gatorade and come back ready for a match. I don't know what the coach and them doing. I don't know they gone and put battery in drone. I ready to play. And I came here with a dream to win and to defend an Olympic gold medal. And my dotish coaching staff going to do something that wouldn't benefit, in my opinion, anyway, and embarrass the country, dock 6 points, and basically get us eliminated from an Olympics.
Hence my point that I said I think it's too harsh for the players. The 6 points being deducted. The players are now feeling the brunt of this. I agree it's a team thing. When the team wins, the team goes up onto the podium. The team benefits from the gold medals.
There's no way to differentiate.
If a team lose, it loses.
You're at an Olympics, so guess what now? Even if the team did not orchestrate the move, the fact is the team will still benefit somewhat. So it is very hard to say you're going to punish a coach and not punish the entire country, because it's the nation. Once you put step, as you would know, Anil, in the Olympic Games, it's your nation you represent. Everything you do is about your country, not about you, Sachin, whatever, you know. So, Anil, Chris.
Just
so,
to add to your point, Chris,
and-
2012.
Go on.
2012 Olympics, what he's saying, I was the Minister of Sport for Trinidad and Tobago and George's coach at the 2012 Olympics. There was a faux pas. George Bovell takes his breath and holds it before they say take your marks. But they made an error, the crowd made noise, and it told the crowd to shh while George Bovell was holding his breath before the 50-meter freestyle. And that took 18.3 seconds before he dove off. Now, if I was just a coach, I would have shouted out, made noise, interrupted the start, but they might have buffed whoever in the crowd and so on, but they would have restarted. But as the Minister of Sport of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, I had to bite my tongue and stay quiet. Because if I interrupt a race as a Minister of Sport of a country, it embarrasses the country. So that is a very critical point. So while I hear and I feel it for the players, the coaches are in charge of the strategy, the team meetings from the information that they gathered. So if they cheated or they were sneaky in gathering information and passing it on to the players are indirectly benefiting from whatever sneakiness. So it's unfortunate, it's sad.
Anil was honest already. Covered the Winter Olympics a couple of years ago. I can't remember the name of the Russian skater that was caught doping, right? No, she was underage. How do you then, it's the same kind of scenario. An underage girl, boy are not responsible for their own actions. So it would be the team, the management, the coach, or whatever that inflicted this doping scandal, whatever. But how you can't punish, you're going to punish the coach? The athlete, at the end of the day, is going to perform at the higher stage, even though it's a minor. The person is a minor. So it's slightly different, but it's the same kind of understanding. In other words, they are not responsible for themselves, but yet they have benefited. You can't just punish the coach, you have to punish the entire team.
You see, in doping, there's something which originally was strict liability, means whatever is in your system as an athlete, you're responsible for. They used to say, no matter how it reach, whether the coach give you, your mother give you went by a restaurant and you eat it, whatever, once it's in your body, you are guilty. But now the Court of Arbitration for Sport, over some decisions made over the last 8 years, has given athletes an excuse about a tainted supplement, a batch that wasn't good, and they've removed and weakened that strict liability position, which has allowed people to cheat.
Do you think now we can probably develop a term in world sport called cyber doping?
Cyber doping. Well, Sachin, I would just like to say for all purposes that was Sachin's creation. Cyber doping.
Just for the record, you know, we have all the records here. You can go to the YouTube after this and see cyber doping. I'm going to coin that term. It could probably very well be something for the future because
I feel they're going to make no money on it.
Well, and it seems like, but for sure the Canadians won't do it again.
It may pop up again sometime.
And well, as you said before, the Canadians had been doing it for a while, and obviously they have been getting away with it. But probably what has happened as well, were that before they were a bit smarter. Maybe it was a further away and so on. But as they got away with it and so on, so they got a little more adventurous. Let us get closer. You know, soon they would have been right in Anil's face, listening to what he's saying and so on. So
you don't want to be close to me to hear me. You can hear me down the road.
So it's just to stamp it out early. But I take it, I mean, this is something that I hope that they are...
It's very sad.
Yeah, they just want to nip it in the bud early.
It is sad. It's a new development, and we certainly hope it doesn't happen again. We take a short break and come back with more discussions on We Paddy Prime. Stay with us.
De chaque nation nous venons pour rivaliser avec passion et courage, nos cœurs sont élevés. In the arena, we give our all with grace and honor. Oh, 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 nous donnons tout avec grâce et honneur, nous restons le bout.
The world as it pertains to the 33rd Olympiad. Yes, the games are off and running, and we're going to tell you about 3 athletes have so far been suspended from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games for breaching anti-doping rule violations. Now, 22-year-old Nigerian boxer Cynthia Ogonsmilo returned adverse analytical findings for the banned substance furosemide. Dominican volleyballer Lisabel Eve also tested positive for that same substance, and Iraqi judoka Sajjad Sehen tested positive for the banned anabolic steroids, both announced on Friday. Now, before we went to the break, ladies and gentlemen, rejoining us on set, Jehu Gordon and Janelle Atkinson, we had a very close conversation with Anil and Chris about doping and so on, but that was just to the lesser extent. We spoke about the drone incident with Canada, but now we're talking about complete doping incidents that have been found by 3 athletes. Now, this has to be taken seriously, Anil.
Well, seriously, and then there's something called mammagism. Okay. Those, I don't know what the first 2 that substances, I'll have to check on it. But in volleyball, there is no real drug that is going to help you perform at a higher level and get an unfair advantage. There are some sports that are technical and some that are physiological. The physiological sports like rowing, like swimming, like running, that don't have a high technical coefficient, those are the ones when you cheat, when you take steroids, when you take growth hormone, when you take doping substances, that you will get an unfair advantage. Meaning, when you work hard, you train hard, you go in the gym, you shred yourself, you reach failure, and you push yourself, what that does is tear your muscle fibers. You start to bleed inside. When you take growth hormone or anabolic steroids, it recovers. It makes those strands and those fibers get back stronger. That's why those big muscle men in Mr. Olympia and so on have these bodies that look like if you take a pin, you'll pop them, because it's not normal, it's not natural, and it produces a higher power. But for a volleyballer, I don't know what you were taking. For a boxer, you could take steroids. When you get cuff in your face, you get knocked out. So we have to be very careful. The IOC and some of these organizations, they like to play games. They like the world records. They like the drama because it brings money, it brings sponsorship. So they turn a sort of fake eye. Testing in competition, the real cheaters will never get caught because some of the substances that they're taking have a half-life of 12 hours, which means if they take it, 12 hours later, you could test them 20 times, they will be clean. Now, when you go to compete, when Jehu Gordon is going to run a 400 hurdles, I'm not working him hard the day before, the week before, 2 weeks before. We just fine-tuning. We practicing the start. We making sure the steps, 13 steps and leap, making sure he's stretched out, getting massage. So there's no need for recovery, which means there's no need for drugs. So all the testing at the competition is just mammagism for the world to feel, hey, look, we're doing something. We've done nothing. These 3 people have tested positive. Whoopie ding. The real men who are cheating and competing and winning and getting millions of dollars in endorsement.
What was that statement you used? Whoopie ding?
Whoopie ding ding.
Whoopie ding. Jehu, you know, you have a point to make, yeah?
Anil, I need more work tomorrow. But I'll be devil's advocate for a little bit. For many years, we know doping has been around. Many years even before I was born. And I would probably say in this instance why probably just not open up this field, that make it available to everybody whereby athletes dope, you know. So
interesting.
Many years back, athletes are doping, so why not wait till the Olympics to bring it out in such a measure? When
you competed though, and you did quite so for numerous amounts of years, were there any athletes in your crop and your time that were tested positive when you were competing at the World Championships, Olympics, etc.?
Not in my specific event. We always had theories and word of mouth and a murmuring here and there. But we in track and field, we hear about many athletes that get popped over the years. I don't need to call any on the airwaves, but you know, it's going on for far too long now. They cannot seem to keep up with it. The athletes with the money will always be ahead of the curve. And as Anil said, at this day and age, nobody is going to be doping while we are at this last peaking phase.
The point, let me deal with Jehu's point there. While I hear that point, the risk, and coming close, because the risk of allowing great hero-like athletes to dope and to cheat, the risk is not for them. They have the money to get the best doctors to take exactly the amounts of cheating mechanism and steroids and growth hormone that they need to take, which will limit the risk to their health, even though we have had some who dropped dead, some who had double kidney failure and so on. The real risk is in the entire globe. When you say it's okay to cheat, parents in every country, parents in Venezuela and Dominican Republic and Cuba who want to make their children baseball millionaires to sign a $150 million contract will start injecting 14-year-olds with all kind of things, make them pop pills, and we will see a pandemic of death and health dangers across the globe. People will be giving their children all sorts of doping substances in swimming and track and field to win the high school meet, to be the star in a state championship in Germany and all over. And the whole globe will become less healthy. So what we have to do, as Jay Hughes said, we have to focus and stop mama guying. Doping has been around a long time. Back in 1972, since you only don't like 88, 1972, the East German swimmers, led by Cornelia Ender, went into the Montreal, the Munich Games in 72, and they won nearly every female racing event. Go and look for the video. Cornelia Ender had a strong, deeper voice than mine. She had more hair on her arm. She was big and huge. She beat a girl called Shirley Babachov. She got 6 silver and 1 gold. That was really 7 gold. In 1989, we found out that the East Germans, those children in every sport, were forced to take steroids because the East Germany wanted to propel themselves to the globe as being superior. And the way they chose to do that was through brilliant performances in sport. And they did that through doping. The wall came down and we got all the information. So the drugs have been there. The way to end it is for WADA to stop playing games. Take all the money you have, because as Jay Hughes said, the cheaters have more money and can keep creating synthetic substances like the Claire that Marion Jones and them were taking, and we only found out because a man didn't get his money and he sell out. If they did not sell out, we would not have known because we didn't know. There was no test for the substance, the Claire. That's why they call it the Claire. What you have to do is pump all your resources into out-of-competition testing. And any athlete who tell me the mystery out-of-competition test in 12 months, just give me a rest.
And, I mean, not for nothing. I mean, even going off of that, remember, when in 2000 I came fourth.
Yes.
A couple months after I came fourth, the person who came third tested positive, got suspended, and I'm still sitting here at fourth.
You should have been promoted to that position.
Well, they didn't do that back then.
They didn't do that. They didn't do that back then. I'm watching all these other athletes getting promotions even long after, decades after. You know, but it's one of those two where one of the reasons why I'm not fully fighting is because at the end of the day, when you pull up the results, I wasn't on the podium. Right, I'm robbed of that opportunity to be on that podium and just stand there with a bronze medal around my neck, and that would have been huge for our whole continent. And you know, it's frustrating as someone who has been robbed of that opportunity to feel as if, okay, well, I'm lesser than because I actually don't have the medal, even though based on technicality, maybe, perhaps, but no one's looking at it like that. Maybe because we're from Jamaica and we're from the Caribbean, I don't really care, and it's going to leave the person with their medal. But I mean, who knows? But it's a really tough pill to swallow.
How does that make you feel now, seeing that these persons have been promoted to their supposedly unofficial spots, now becoming their official spots? How does that make you feel?
It's frustrating, but at the same time, like I said, I wasn't on the podium. So if they're going to promote me, listen, I'm calling up gold and silver. Let's go. Let's do this whole thing. We'll go back to Sydney. We'll make a whole trip out of it. We'll play the anthem. I will stand there. But it's one of those where it's so unceremonious to receive a medal in the mail. I've had it happen before at CAC. I was promoted from a bronze medal to a silver medal, and it was literally just like a package in the mail.
It's really sad because you miss out on everything.
Yes.
So even the retroactive, our 2008 men's relay team they are now gold medalists. But they ain't even, nobody know. There are no cocktail party, no shrimps, no drinks, no champagne, no money, nothing. But it's basically 12, 13 years later. The cheaters have won. They've taken hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars from sponsors. They've robbed others of opportunity. Let me tell you something. When you know somebody comes up to a mic and the first thing they tell you is, well, I have been tested in every competition. I am the most tested athlete in the world. Them cheat because they know in competition testing is irrelevant. You're already clean. Understand, Lance Armstrong was just one who got caught eventually, but he went to every limit to attack news reporters, his friends, people who were telling the truth. He vilified them, but the people in the Tour de France love Lance because Lance brought money, so keep Lance. But that was the saddest thing. Lance Armstrong is one of the biggest disgraces on God's green earth because children loved him, idolized him. I idolized his performance, could not believe. But when you hear the truth, it is painful. Yep. We must do something about it. And when we hear the Court of Arbitration for Sport and WADA are now saying and forgiving athletes who say, oh, I was taking a supplement and there was a batch in the factory that had steroid. Abject total nonsense. We have to return to strict liability. When I was coaching Leah Martindale in 1996, George Bovell, if they had to drink a water and George took a sip and he handed it to me, if I put down that or he put it down, don't drink it again. Go and get a fresh one because it's that serious. When you're in the top 10, top 20 in the world, you have to take care of your body.
Absolutely brilliant points indeed from the panelists, J. Hugh, Janelle, and of course Anil being very vocal indeed with his claims and his,
zero tolerance
attitude as it pertains to cheating and doping. You know, I share the same points as well. We continue our discussion when we come back from this break. Stay with us. It's We Paddy Prime.
We stand united, our spirits bright. Dans la ville de Paris, where dreams come alive. Nous sommes ensemble, notre âme survit. Glorious, we rise above. In the games of unity, we find our love, love. Nous nous aimons dans les jeux d'unité. Nous trouvons notre éclat.
Well, the International Olympic Committee issued an official apology to South Korea for introducing them as, North Korea at the athletes' parade in the opening ceremony. And this is what they had to say. Now, it's really a tough thing to do, this introduction. They said, quote, "We sincerely apologize for the mistake that occurred when introducing the South Korean delegation during the opening ceremony broadcast. The problem was identified and it was a human error for which the IOC is deeply sorry." The IOC apologized for that, giving an official apology to not just the teams, but of course apologizing to the world. That could have had some real repercussions, Janelle. You're looking at it with a very intent eye there, and I don't think I would not have wanted to be in that position, being that person punching up the graphic on the screen, saying the wrong one.
No, I would not want to be that human at all.
I would have gone back home.
At all. Yep, pack it up. I'm done. You guys have a good Olympics. I will see you never.
That's crazy. That's crazy. From a political perspective, what problems this could have caused?
Well, let me first of all tell you, that's the worst apology I've ever heard. That is not just a mistake and human error. That is a grave error of total disrespect, lack of understanding. That sends shockwaves through a country. There have been two countries that are at loggerheads, that are philosophically opposed to each other, on the brink of war. They just draw a line between them. And there's hatred, there's death. And you see a flag that look nothing like the next one and call the country the wrong name and just come and say, well, we're sorry, it's human error. That was an embarrassment of epic proportions. The president of the IOC should have apologized in his speech instead of telling me and showing me that he knew about the opening ceremony, about John Lennon's song, and about the thing on the bridge with the fancy thing, trying to tell me and pound into me a message that the IOC wanted. What I would have liked to hear is a proper apology to the People's Republic of South Korea, to the Korean Republic. You cannot do that. That is unacceptable. I mean, and this is not something that happened today. You knew you're hosting the Olympics. You would have checked, double-checked, triple-checked, and you made that faux pas, JU?
Madness on. I think there's too much animosity in between both countries, per se. And given the grand-scale nature of the Olympic Games, there was just too much at stake. So I believe that this wound itself is one of those wounds that is going to take a pretty long time to recover from.
Yeah, it's a thing where technology tends to fail on us at times. We depend so much on it, but at times it tends to fail. Yeah, they said it was human error, that the person punched the wrong button.
Suppose they call, if Russia was allowed, if they did not get catch cheating in Sochi with doping and having a secret passage to open up samples and change them and so on, with the KGB instrument to open samples and change it, if in Sochi Winter Olympics they didn't get catch, suppose Russia was coming in and they call them Ukraine. You see how serious it is? It's not, I don't even understand how they could do that. That is terrible. And let's give up a 3-line apology and say it's a human error.
But what else would they say, though? They're publicly saying that we made an error.
First of all,
we identified it after...
The error should have come from the face of the president. He stood up and gave us a speech. Give us a statement from you. Come out, put all your people, instead of going and handing out awards and looking like all you want is Big Sawati inside. Call a press conference with all the presidents of all the areas of Asia, of South America and so on, Caribbean, and apologize from the bottom of your heart. Call the ambassador of South Korea and apologize. Do something. You're giving us this show that you catch 3 people taking or so-called enhancing drugs that don't enhance nothing in volleyball. You can't help you spike no ball taking any steroids. They don't help you spike or be technically efficient. It was a total embarrassment. I've never heard of this before, you know. And I watching Olympic ceremony since 1972 and 1968. I went and watched it on tape, right? Because our 4x4 relay was hot in them days. You understand?
Well, let's move a little bit away from that. It's a really different topic, and as you said, John Lennon, imagine, and if you imagine something could have happened differently out of this, we thankfully nothing has come out major of it yet. We hope it remains that way, and we're urging the people in that part of the world, please remain calm, remain peaceful. We want world peace to be maintained. Bermuda's, your good friend, Dara Alizadeh, finished third. Finished third in the repechage number 3.
Finished what?
Third.
I like how you put that.
He finished third in the men's singles sculls in a time of, get this, 7:17.05. And I think it was a bit of a better time than yesterday, shaving off, I think,
6 seconds.
6 seconds or so, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Did
he see your clip yesterday?
No.
And did he take your advice?
No.
He can't take my advice. Jay, you talk. Huh?
The word on the ground is the clip was circulating on social media with Arnold lambasting this young man from Bermuda. So he had no choice apparently now to go faster.
So it worked.
But it worked. No, it didn't work.
No choice.
It didn't work because they had no way. When you do not prepare from in advance, 8 months, 10 months, a year, 4 years, you can't come in one day and just miraculously do better. He did better than the nonsense because he went 7:23, which was very, very slow. And then he came down to 7:17, which on the surface seems like, hey, he did better. But his best time 3 years ago was 7:09. So he's still 8 seconds short. And what makes it worse is that we have to realize that this is the Olympic Games. Just like how Canada just embarrassed their country, all Canadians are hanging their head in shame, wondering why they would do a cyber drone, right? Cyber doping with a drone. But Mr. Bermuda, we had a Bermudan swimmer do a great time. We had triathletes. Bermuda has a proud history of performance. And this gentleman was not before. I don't know what was the qualification, how he came, but you cannot come in an event that is purely physiological. It's not like golf, where you know you could be good today, tomorrow you're not so good because the conditions change, the course change, and the shots. You are purely physiological. You did not train, you're not fit, you didn't do abs come out the People Olympics?
Well, we know we didn't do abs at all, just like myself. I don't do much abs.
But you ain't rowing
but
no
I'm
boat?
not in the rowing. I'm not rowing any boat. Row your boat gently down the stream. Now, let's take a quick look at the medal table as of day 2 of the Paris Olympics 2024. Now, this is going to be interesting because we saw some gold medals today popping up. We saw some bronze as well. Yep, Australia there with 6 medals. We have the team coming second, that's France with 7. Third, Japan on the list with 6 and several other teams. But on top of the list of all, USA, Team USA with 2 gold, 4 silver and 3 bronze. Topping the table there with 9. It's not in the order of the awards itself, but yes, just USA
well, Sachin,
getting 9.
They
9
count
medals.
Gold counts first. So the Australians are on top. Gold takes precedence.
Absolutely, gold takes precedence.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 medals in total, a medal count there. But yeah, Australia with 4 gold medals indeed, leading that pack there by leaps and bounds. Now, tomorrow's schedule of games in the Paris 2024 at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. We have fencing at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. Judo at 8 a.m. ECT. Handball at 10 a.m. ECT. Judo once more. And at 1 p.m. ECT, fencing returns. And at 4 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time, of course, rejoin us right here on We Paddy Prime for the show that will certainly not only give you some heartbeats, some heartaches, but it will most certainly give you some memorable moments, especially from the lovable lunatic himself, one Anil Roberts. We want to thank him, thank Janelle Atkinson, thank J. Hugh Gordon, of course, Chris Taylor for joining us on set once more for this edition of We Paddy Prime. Thank you for watching, and on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Dreams ignite, we stand united, our spirits bright. Dans la ville de Paris, where dreams come alive, nous sommes ensemble, notre âme survit. Glorious, we rise above, in the games of unity, we find our love, glorieux. Nous nous aimons. De chaque nation nous venons pour rivaliser avec passion et courage, nos cœurs sont